problem is, church, is that our society oftentimes will try and separate these three concepts. See, I can remember back to 6th grade whenever my friends would tell me that I wasn't black enough because I decided to carry myself with pride, dignity, sanity, and decided to have good diction. Oftentimes, church, they would call me white or an Oreo. Now, being white isn't bad within itself, but the problem that it causes when you say something like that is that it puts ownership on something that we all value, which is professionalism. In youth of new generation, I need you to understand that this does not belong to just one culture or one skin tone. And parents, it is your duty to continue to remind your children that intelligence is something they should consistently be proud of. And the reason that this is necessary in new generation to understand this concept is because our society consistently tries to convince our minority youth that they have no value. Simply just ignoring all the mass killings of young black boys in the streets, we can look no further than our television screens. Look at what you see. The heroes that we all admire are independent white men who strong and troubled through any types of adversity possible, and yet any minority is often playing the pimp, the prostitute, the killer, the deadbeat, and the dropout. Church, our black heroes are few and far between. And the problem with this is that growing up, this took a toll on me, as I know it takes a toll on many of our youth. Church, we need to understand that we need to stop viewing hating our own skin as a survival mechanism, because we don't need to fit in, because we're already called to be different anyway. So we might as well accept it. See, church, oftentimes we will allow the cultural separation to force white as being good and black as being bad. Honestly, church, this caused for me to hate my own skin for so long until I discovered that I must shame this concept. People would tell me that my intelligence and my blackness cannot be in the same body, but trust me, they can, they have, and hopefully they continue to will be. And I know that wasn't grammatically correct, but guess what? Sometimes when you ad-libbing, you're going to be saying what you need to say. But truth be told, church, we must learn to love ourselves, and youth of new generation, you must do the same. Because you see, God sees the good in every single one of us, and if God can see the good in black people, then guess what? Can't nobody tell him different. The fact of the matter, church, is that hating myself did nothing for me. And causing to let myself to hate someone else because of my skin tone is problematic. We must love ourselves the way we're commissioned to love other people. Do not let your skin tone cause you to hate yourself or cause you to hate someone else. Church and youth of new generation, what you need to understand is that our history is filled to the brim with people who have changed the very nature of culture as we see it today. Yes, we know the Martin Luther King Jr.'s, the Malcolm X's, and the Rosa Parks, but we don't talk enough about the W.E.B. Du Bois. And yes, it's Du Bois, not Du Bois. Yeah. Or the Booker T. Washingtons, or the Maya Angelou's, or the Angela Davies. Youth of new generation, never allow for someone to tell you that black is not beautiful, because black is strong, black is prosperous, and black is something to be proud of. Never be ashamed of your culture, because your culture has never been something to be ashamed of. It may seem hard now, but as you grow in your understanding and increase your education to college, which is not an option, by the way, then you will get the opportunity. You will get the opportunity to learn more about your people, and you will see just how amazing black people can truly be. And trust me, you will be proud every step of the way. Yes. Amen. But, and there always has to be a but, church. But as you increase your pride for your people, you will see that the devil will try and separate your culture from your faith. You see, as my dad said last Sunday, there becomes a time where you can idolize something so much that it begins to take the place of God himself, and trust me, your culture is no exception from this danger. What you need to understand is that oftentimes people will try and take that from you, even though they don't understand how important it is to your culture. You see, a popular theory amongst many black activists, especially around my age, is that Christianity was given to the slaves by the slave owners in order to make them docile, in order to accept their role in society. But church, not only is that incorrect, but the people who perpetuate this theory are clearly misunderstanding just how limitless the power of God is and just how in-depth his plan can be. So it may be a cliche, church, but God works in mysterious ways, and today we're going to see how God worked through slavery in a way that we never really had to think about before. We can see that by looking at three main points. First, we will discuss how it is the foundation of our culture. Second, we will look at how we utilize the enemy's mistake for finally expressing the key point in utilizing research in forming your faith. But first, let's look at the foundations of our culture. Now, it's no secret that the United States of America is built upon the backs of dead slaves. Our forefathers would utilize back-breaking and life-taking labor along with torture techniques in order to break the spirit of slaves, and at the end of the day would do as much as they can to separate their roots by mixing different tribes on different plantations, by doing things such as preventing them from reading and writing, and then telling them that the only history that they have is on the plantation itself. But the fact of the matter is, church, is that even though we saw that this was utilized to be able to take away our own personal agency, it worked the exact opposite. Because you have to understand that the church is a central mechanism to the black community. You see, church, many argue that providing religion was the final nail in the coffin in subjugating the black people, but at the end of the day, church, what you got to understand, not only did the slave owners not provide the religion to us, but at the end of the day, when they tried misusing it, it completely backfired because it gave us more hope than before. The reason we can understand this, church, is because at the point to where we started feeling as if we were being oppressed, we utilized the church in order to form a central hub into our culture. We began to identify our faith as our cultural center. There's a reason that every time that the black community has a war waged against it, the first place that they attack is the church. And the reason being is because the church is so strong in black Americans' roots that it is the only thing that has kept us going when it seemed as if nothing was pushing behind us. Listen, y'all, I'm killing with these ad-libs right here. Half these words ain't even on these pages. What we got to understand this, church, is that our faith, black people's faith, is more than just a belief system. It is a part of our identity. The same way your heart is a part of you, this faith is a part of you. And you know what that means. That means Jesus is in every single one of our hearts, whether we want it to be or not. And it was like that before. But for those of you that like to consider yourself black activists, you ain't a black activist until you know that Jesus Christ is a part of you. And that is a matter of fact. You see, black faith was a central institution. It wasn't just a belief, but it was a figure that was so strong that it might as well be the brick and mortar of the building. Whenever we moved throughout the streets, we moved as a church because, as we all know, the church is just more than the building, but it's the people that come and go within it. And as we moved throughout the streets, up and down America, listen here, church, when we did that, we were churching together. Let me tell y'all something. The first thing that we started singing on the plantations was Wade in the Water. Why are we singing Wade in the Water? That's code. That's an escape mechanism. That's not just us singing to God. That's saying, God, not only are your words coming from my mouth to praise you, but instead it is us actually moving forward and escaping with the use of words that you are giving us. See, y'all, what a lot of these black activists don't understand, and trust me, I am one of them, so I can call them out on this, is that whenever we accept what God is giving to us, we are not being force-fed the word that he has corrupted, but instead we are taking in what God has given to us, and there is a difference. Because the difference is allowing the enemy and man to give you something that you shouldn't have in the first place, and the other is picking up the call that God was placing upon us from day one. And listen, church, the black people have been accepting that call since we stepped foot on this soil. You gotta understand the difference, and I gotta calm down because now we're moving on to the second point, which is acknowledging and taking advantage of the mistake that the enemy has made. Trust me, church, one of the most terrifying and misleading things that the enemy can ever hope to do is take God's word and jumble it around as to mislead his followers. But listen, church, whenever the man, yes, I'm saying man, and the devil came together to try and misuse God's word in whichever way they attempted to do so, God said, oh, absolutely not. I'm going to use it to my advantage to bring people closer to you. Let me tell you why. Because in Isaiah 54, verse 17, he said that no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. Now what that means, church, what that means is that any time that worshipers of our Lord God are underneath him and someone creates a weapon to take them out, God says no more, and then he holds those who tried to make the weapon accountable. And you want to know why that's important, church? Can I tell you? That's important because even when the slave masters saw how he was praising, they said, we're going to change up the word, give it back to them so they can be cool with being slaves. And God said, no, sir, I'm going to take my word, I'm going to give it to my people the way they need to hear it. And when they hear it, trust me, church, they're going to be escaping, they're going to be wading in the water, that sweet chariot going to be swinging low, because even though they tried misselling the word to people who couldn't read the Bible, they were selling them too. They still knew what reality was. See, church, God literally said, you know what? You're going to try and misuse my word. I'm going to give these people hope. I'm going to give them strength. And they're going to have that hope and strength, whether they in the fields, whether they marching in the streets of Montgomery, or we sitting right here in New Generation Christian Center in 2017. That hope's not dead. We still breathing. We still moving, no matter how much they try to slam in the ground. Listen, Jordan Brown recognized that she came up here and told y'all. She's reading about it. Our youth are understanding, and the reason they're understanding is because God is looking down on them and saying, listen here. They are trying to misuse me against you, and I will not allow it to happen. You will understand, and you will know what I have called you to. Once again, y'all, as to bring it back down, because now I got to rise back up to a climax, we got to move on to point 3. And that's the importance of research. You see, there are 2 things that I need y'all to understand. For people who want to tell me that I'm worshiping the slave master's God, I say, first of all, if you think that you can control how God decides how I worship and how he's going to show himself to me, or how he's going to show himself to my people, and how he's going to show himself to his people, then listen, you've got a mistake. Because regardless of what the slave masters was telling us, God had a completely different plan. And when they said, I'm going to use my word the way I want to, God said, first of all, not your word. Second of all, you ain't going to use it right. Let me use it right for you. Listen, y'all. Second, I'm telling you, I think I've added like 90% more words than I had. Second, we have the ability at any given time to be able to research and better understand God's word. I mean, why do you think he gave us the Bible? God gave us the Bible so that anytime somebody spits some mistruth about his name, we got the ability to be able to research. So young people of New Generation Christian Center, anytime somebody says, why are you worshiping the slave master's God? You can respond with, well, that's a stupid question, but I got an answer for you. According to 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, it states, to study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing of the truth. This means that at any point in time where you feel as if somebody's trying to hand you something on the Bible that ain't true, all you got to do is flip open that Bible, read it for yourself, and guess what? We got that dispute solved right then and there. You see, church? Nobody is responsible for your faith except for you. But one thing I need y'all to understand, I've been kind of hitting on it throughout today's speech, but I want to make it clear at this point. The statement that the masters wanted their slaves to have Christianity sounds like an incredible argument, but it is false. And let me tell you why, church. Because you see, why would the slave masters want to give the slaves faith? Because I need y'all to understand what's in that Bible. What's in that Bible is stories about people overcoming oppression because of the faith they had in God. And let me tell y'all something. If any of them want to think to themselves, you know what? They provided to us the faith. Of course they wouldn't. That's stupid. You don't give somebody the key when you're trying to lock them in. That people don't understand. It's frustrating because they don't want to look at the fact that not only are they over-exaggerating the power of this white man, not even the white man's cool, I got white friends, but not only are they over-exaggerating the power of this slave master, but they are undervaluing the power of our faith. Because listen here, church, what you need to understand is that the slaves took such an ownership in the faith that they had, that when they got on their hands and knees and started praying and said, God, why is my master telling me this? He said, he's not your master, I am. Have faith in me and you're going to be out of here soon. And guess what? It's that same faith that directed them to the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Youth of new generation, I need you to understand that as you grow older, you must respect yourself and never let your faith be taken away from you. And notice I said taken away from you because that's your heart. That's your lifeblood. It is the center of the society that we live in. It is everything. It is what drives us forward. You need to never forget that no matter who you associate yourself with, what your clique looks like, what your squad is running with, you need to know it needs to all tie back to God. Because not only is he our creator or is he our savior, but at the end of the day, this man is our origin story. So we need to be taking ownership. And we need to be studying hard. Because no matter what tricks the devil throws at you, I need you to understand that it's just another page flip away from the truth. Another page flip from the truth. It's another page flip from the truth. Church, you are always just one page flip away from the truth. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. So I'm getting a little off task here, but I was back there getting nervous. I was forgetting parts of this, and now all of a sudden, not only am I remembering every word verbatim on this page, but God's giving me more to just. Listen, y'all, we all God's people. It's getting hot up here, so I gotta cool down a little bit for a second. I'm sure it'll come back up there. We all got it. And people are gonna try and tell you and do as much as you can to take your faith away from you. Youth, the new generation, no matter what happens, I need you to understand that above all else, you are God's children. And whether you decide to be a black radical like me, or you just decide to love the skin that you are in, you need to understand that God, Jesus, must always be a constant, because no matter what skin tone you have, no matter what culture you belong to, no matter who you roll with, at the end of the day, all that matters is that we all subjugate ourselves to God's plan. Listen, because if everybody subjugating themselves to God's plan, is that going to be racism? Absolutely not. But not everybody's there yet. And you ain't there yet either. I don't even know if anybody in here is to that point yet to where we can say we ain't got inherent biases. That's horrible. That's crazy. That's Jesus level. We ain't gonna get there. For real, we gotta strive to. And that is what is most important. Youth of New Generation, I need you to understand, to accept yourself, to love yourself in spite of what the world is going to tell you. Let me tell you, I know some of you are dealing with it already. You're going to be hearing people tell you that your culture is not within you because you speak well. But listen here, you are the ones that are going to be leading the movement, fighting for everybody in the future. Do you think when Martin Luther King was a little kid, do you think that they were telling him, listen, we admire your ability to speak and your ability to do all this X, Y, and Z? Listen, let me tell you, that's not true. They don't want to accept you being good. So what that means is y'all got to be great. And from the award y'all getting up here, I don't think I'm expecting anything less. And I don't think anybody else is expecting anything less. And I want y'all to look upon these people who have supported you. You got moms and dads outside of mom and dad, on top of mom and dad. You got literally everybody in this church who you could go to in every single different field. And you can get those conversations going. You can get those explanations going. If you think that just because somebody tells you not to respect your culture, that you don't have great black culture sitting right in front of you, then listen here, they tripping. This is a family. This is a community. Do you know why we got so many different people up in here? Because this is what black culture looks like, and everything came from here. You think all the rappers that are out there rapping? Man, I'm starting to sound like I listen to rap all the time. But y'all think all the rappers that are out there rapping don't have roots in the church? Every single one of them. The fact of the matter is that this is where it starts. And if you want our people to become as strong as they can be, which they can be, you got to invest here, because faith is what ultimately drives everything. That's all I got, you.